Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. A great episode, obviously a big celebration too, because this is the 100th episode of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., which is pretty awesome. A little quick side note, if you want to, you should check out the Marvel YouTube channel, Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel, because they put, like, most recently they were putting up a whole bunch of, like, 10 videos of, like, 10 best visual effects over the course of the show, or 10, I forgot, like, it's just like a whole bunch of different videos listing off, like, 10 probably, like, their top things over the course of the entire series so far. So it's pretty interesting. So I mean, I haven't checked any of them out yet, but I'm just putting that out there to anyone that's like, oh yeah, so there's like a handful of them. So just if you're curious about that. Anyway, getting into the episode, like I said, a great episode. Obviously, a big focus of this episode is the truth about Coulson comes out, and I completely misinterpreted it as to what it was exactly, and it seemed. And we finally get an explanation of what it was. I was thinking, like, oh, that knife or whatever did more damage to him because, or, you know, maybe it's the knife, that whole black stuff they were, like, absorbing it into themselves. I thought, like, that was kind of making him go a little crazy. I thought maybe it had something to do with that. It's like, no, it's because this is part of his deal with Ghost Rider, because basically the Tahiti project, what they used to bring him back, basically when Ghost Rider left his body, that was the price. Either that was what Ghost Rider took as his price, or just leaving. Well, I guess the whole point was to leave Coulson's body. He needed a price, and that price was basically what made Coulson the way he is. So basically, subsequently, since season 4's finale, Coulson has slowly but surely been dying, but the process is getting faster and faster. Because even like Gemma was examining the tissue, and it's like, oh yeah, this tissue looks like it's been dead for like 7 years. And it's like there's nothing they can do. It's like. And it's like, oh shit, that's crazy. I didn't know the price was going to be that. Basically, it undoes everything that basically the whole Tahiti project, bringing him back to life. It's like, that's crazy. So now basically the process is getting faster and faster, and everyone has completely varying emotions about this. Well, technically that's not true, because everyone kind of feels the same way. Everyone was just shocked and sad. But the people who take it the hardest, obviously Gemma is taking it hard, but like probably Daisy and May probably taking it hardest. Especially for Daisy, it's like she didn't grow up in the S.h.i.e.L.D. world. She grew up in foster homes and stuff like that. So she never knew her family. Granted, she got to meet them and everything, but more so, like, you know, Coulson brought her in, gave her a chance, basically helped mold her into the person she is now. And it's like Coulson's pushing her to be the one that kind of leads S.h.i.E.L.D. from now on. But Daisy couldn't understand why, but now she does. And it sucks, because for her, it's like, she didn't bring it up, but she's talked about it in the past. Coulson is more than just a friend or a mentor. Like, he's like the closest thing she ever had to a dad, you know. And the fact is that he's dying, she doesn't know what to do. She's like, I can't do this without you. You're telling me to be the symbol of S.h.i.E.L.D., but you are the symbol of S.h.i.E.L.D. Without you, there is no S.h.i.E.L.D. Because, and it's something that May kind of talks about too, because it's like, this is more than just a team. And bringing up the fact is, this is a family. They've grown together. Like, they've come to know and love and rely on each other. This is a group. This is a family. And it's like, Coulson should have told them from the beginning. Like, also, because he's throwing all this on Daisy. Like, he's always wanted Daisy to be the leader of S.h.i.E.L.D. Like, that's always been apparent. Like, after, like, because where it was, Jeffries was the leader, Mace, you know, was the leader in season 4 of S.h.i.E.L.D. He always wanted that position to go to Daisy. So he's always had it in his mind that Daisy was going to be the one, but recent circumstances has made him go like, no, she needs to come back. She can't try and hide from this. Like, no matter what, the world is going to need Daisy at the head of S.h.I.E.L.D. when the time comes. She has to be the one to kind of lead S.h.I.E.L.D. against everything, you know? And so it's so depressing, dude. It's super sad, because, like, legitimately it's even more depressing, because you're like, holy crap, are they really going to take this towards killing Coulson? I mean, they're already making it seem like that. But even Coulson himself is like, because even the conversation came up, it's like, well, what about what brought Tess back? Like, we could have used that. It's like, Coulson's like, no, I've literally already gotten a second chance at life, and I was able to do so much. I was able to touch so many people's lives, and that matters, you know? Even if I was only able to do this little bit, you know, to the greater scheme, maybe it might not mean a lot, which I think in the greater scheme of things, it is, because you brought together this team, and this team has saved a lot of people, has saved the world on many occasions. So, like, it matters, and, you know, all the people's lives that they've touched and affected. So he's grateful for that, but he's not going to overstay his welcome. He doesn't want to go through that again. It's like, I mean, the only reason why he made it through the first time was because they altered his memories to make him forget that it happened. But like going into this a second time, he saw what it was doing to Tess too. To be fair, that's Tess's second time going through life. Third time for Coulson, it's like, I don't want to be greedy, you know. So if it's my time, it's my time. He's like, I'm not trying to die, but he's accepted the fact is that he's going to die, but he's not going to try and rush to it. So that, like I said, it was just so depressing, and it just. And just seeing that scene between him and Daisy, it just makes you go, oh man, that's, you've seen tears in her eyes. I'm like, that's it. It makes you feel it, man. And then him and May being like, so that's why, like, you took a step back from us. And he's like, I didn't want you to waste your time on someone that was just not going to be there. And she's like, I get to decide who I waste my time on. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. It's just, because I was wondering about that, because they never really had the conversations about it. They brought it up a little bit. It seemed like Coulson was kind of all for it, but I guess that was always... So even before it's... I guess when it happened in the future arc, that's what I'm calling it, is when he got hurt and when he looked at his body. I thought that was from like... I guess that's kind of the manifestation of it kind of being like, because the wound went so deep that because that tissue is dead, it's not going to naturally heal on its own because the cells and tissue are there, so there's no like healing that, so... Also in this episode, the main other plot element to this episode was basically when the monoliths exploded, all three of them created like a tear into space and time, which led to another like dimension or reality that started bleeding over into ours, which I assume was not General Hale's plan. I guess it was meant to be as a bomb that ended up destroying them, but I guess Nolan kind of blocking it, and plus the position of it, like it gave them enough time to kind of get away, so it didn't cause as much damage. I guess it was just dumb luck that it ended up exploding and taking out the monoliths. I thought that was more of a planned thing, but they probably weren't. They might not have thought that they were going to get every member of S.H.I.E.L.D. with that, but they were probably thinking at least we would wound somewhere, or maybe the point is they thought it would have been able to gain them some attention of like, okay, so that's where they are because this is where that explosion was. But nevertheless, excuse me, God, I literally burped mid me talking. Sorry. But nevertheless, this dimension that's bleeding over is very interesting because basically it makes your fears come true to the point we saw Lash. We also saw a Kree kind of pop up, but it's not just like a fear and a manifestation of killing, like of scaring you. It is meant to kill you because it literally physically exists, so it can physically interact with you and kill you. Which I love the whole situation of like, okay, we need to close it. Whoever goes out is most likely going to be sacrificing himself. And Fitz goes, Deacon's like, no. I've literally already done enough. I literally almost sacrificed myself to save you guys, to make sure that you guys go to the monolith and got here on time. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to stay right here. And Fitz is like, I wasn't going to ask you to sacrifice yourself. I need your belt. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he's like talking and everything. He's like, yeah, whatever you need for the future, for the planet or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's super awkward because everyone's just staring at him. And it's just like, you made this huge fuss and you just made yourself look so bad, man. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for you, Deke. This is so awkward. He's just kind of like, yep, yeah, let's kind of pretend like I didn't just have that like freak out just now, because that kind of showed you how much of a non-team player I am in this whole situation. What's also interesting too about the fears, they manifest in different ways. There was also because at one point Daisy brought up the fact it's like, yeah, I have a nun, like some nuns grew up in like she was an orphanage with nuns, and just got almost been like that scared. But at the beginning of the episode, when you see that like the robot of Fitz kind of checking the thing out, you see in the background, I was like, was that a nun walking by? I was like, maybe that's my imagination. It looked like it was a nun before Lash popped up, so I'm wondering, was that supposed to be Daisy's fear of manifesting itself like that? Maybe she kind of has a fear of nuns or something like that, but that was just kind of interesting to me. But getting into it, there was Coulson trying to shut it down himself, and he had Mike show up. Obviously, it's a figment of his imagination because of the whole fear thing, but it's trying to make him go like, oh, you think all of this is real? It's like, no, you're literally on the table dying from the events of Avengers. You're still dying right now, and your brain is concocting this whole thing, trying to make yourself the life you never lived, where you get to be a hero and stuff like that, and all the friends and family, this great team that you've built together. It's like, oh, they're all manifestations of, like, just trying to get inside of his head, playing into the aspect of his fear, because even Coulson kind of made it realize, like, oh yeah, he thought he was okay with his death, but this fear thing makes him realize, like, oh yeah, I'm not as okay with it as I thought. And he's getting like Coulson to get closer and closer to it, and Coulson was like, nah, I'm not falling for it. And then the real Mike, or rather Deathlock, shows up doing all those damn cartwheels. Which is so interesting because J. August Richards was also currently on another ABC show called Kevin Bradley Saves the World. Plays a character named Nathan, so it's just kind of funny that he pops up in this episode. I thought that was pretty neat. But kind of flipping around, killing the fake version of himself. Then some roaches pop up, like the roaches from the future, and then there's Lash, and then the last one to pop up was Hive. So I thought that's kind of interesting. Not nearly. It went down a lot easier than the actual fight with Hive, so I thought that was pretty neat. The way Fitz talks about it, though, that clothes isn't going to last long. It's actually only temporary. They're going to have to find a more permanent fit for it, too. So the question is, does that have anything to do with what ends the world? I mean, it seems like that's not the case, but still. Because this also plays into what Yo-Yo brought up before about the whole aspect of, like, you know, it's like the future's coming true and at a faster rate too. And I thought it was so interesting the way Mac put it too. He was like, the fact of the matter is, you are my world. You give me the word, we will run away and leave this all behind. And Yo-Yo's like, I'm happy you said that, but the fact is, what's coming, we all need to be here to fight for it. So, you know, and that's even something Daisy brought up. It's like, you're talking about this team of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's like, what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D.? May will never be 100%. Like, Fitz and Simmons have already literally been through enough, so you can't put any more on them. Like, they've sacrificed so much. We can't really ask them to sacrifice their lives and their happiness. Mac is literally ready to leave because our top heavy hitter, Yo-Yo, and the woman he loves has been kind of, like, sliced down, so it's like, there's not much left to S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, so... But obviously with Deathlock showing up and some others showing up, showing that there is more to it, that there is still fight left, you know. So I'm curious to see how that all, you know, plays out. Because the whole situation with Yo-Yo, it kind of makes me, I guess it kind of shows you that the timeline did change while they were there. Because the whole situation with Robin makes it seem like it's a different timeline. And like I said, I was thinking because things were like that, it made me seem like you later on, because like I remember Yo-Yo definitely having both her hands in that, like when we saw Robin as a little girl and she had May as her mom, like that seemed like maybe she had prosthetic arms, just like both her arms were prosthetic, like, you know, Phil's is, or that's an alternate timeline that basically that was the timeline where they did go back in time and try to change things, but things didn't change enough, so they still ended up on that course. Maybe that, you know, because it's like, you know, time travel being tricky and all that. So either that is where they're still going to go, because that timeline was written where it was like, no, they did go back in time and they had future knowledge, but things still played out the way they thought it would. You know, so not unless I'm completely wrong, which there's a good chance I could be, and I misinterpreted that completely. And in actuality, that's the timeline where they didn't go into the future, that they stayed in this time, and that Earth ended up the way it did. That might potentially be what that means and what that represents, but I could have sworn it was more like, because I could have sworn there was like a line from Fitz being like, no, we knew this was happening, and Daisy still ended up showing the world. So it does seem like it is the former, not the latter. So, but that does bring the question of like, either that's still going to happen, all that stuff with Robin, or the fact of the matter is this is a different timeline because things are a little bit different. Because for Yo-Yo to have shown up in the future like that with her arms cut off, because that also bothers Mac too, because if things play out the way they are, he knows where Yo-Yo is going to end up, and that's going to be there, you know, being brought back and kind of like being used for knowledge like that. Which obviously he doesn't want to think about the woman he loves like that. We also know things don't end well for Mac apparently because he's not around. Then there's also the thing of like, if they try to save Coulson, it's going to end badly. I don't know whether it's because of his deal specifically with Ghost Rider, or is it because they try to bring him, like, try to keep him alive, and under his circumstances, it doesn't end well. In the fact, it might even turn Coulson into a monster or something. I don't know. There's so many different possibilities, different routes this could all potentially go. But another big thing during this episode is obviously Simmons and Fitz getting married, which is like finally, because even Coulson's like, yeah, so they're together finally, which a lot of us are like, yeah, no duh. It's like we knew about it before even they did. I completely forgot. I might as well add this right here. I completely forgot to add this at the beginning. I do appreciate it when the episode opens. It literally uses all the different title cards that have existed over the course of this series. I thought that was kind of a nice touch too. And also it kind of feeds into the episode too, because they end up facing off against villains that have spanned across, well, characters, you know, one character in particular, and some enemies that have spanned across like the seasons. So that was kind of pretty neat. That'd also be kind of interesting if it was the fact, because I thought, because that's one of those things where it's kind of, oh, the storyline could, oh, they could do that. I mean, they wouldn't, but they could potentially make it go, oh yeah, all of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. never actually happened. This is all inside of Coulson's head as he's dying from the events of Avengers, when Loki stabbed him. So it's like that argument, it's like no one wants a storyline ending like that, where it's like it was all a dream. People get super. That's how you piss off a lot of people doing a storyline like that. It happens, but nevertheless. So that's pretty neat. I like that whole awkward conversation between Deathlock and Deacon. And they're just kind of standing in the background, and you have Deathlock being like, "So you have Deacon being like, so who are you here for?" He's like, "You here for the bride or group?" He's like, "Well, I've known both of them. Cool." He's like, "So are you all cyborg?" He's like, "Yeah, cool." And just the awkwardness between them, and I just loved they just standing on an outside having this awkward conversation like that, because it's not like they really know each other and stuff like that. I also appreciate when Coulson, Phil, and Deacon, I mean Dill, God, I'm messing up so hard. Sorry. When Coulson, Fitz, and Deacon are in the elevator, it's like, yeah, but we're gonna have to thank one man for all the stuff that happens. And Deacon just immediately goes, "You're welcome, guys." I mean, it was a little touch and go. I was a little worried about stuff happening here, and then Fitz is just kind of Fitz and Phil are just looking at Deacon like he's an idiot, and then Fitz turns towards Coulson. He's like, "Yeah, I've been talking about Deathlock the entire time." He's like, "Oh, of course, like he's the one that really deserves our thing." It's like, I love you, Deacon. I don't know whether that was Deacon just messing around just to kind of make Fitz feel bad, because the whole thing about he's like, "Oh yeah, are you stalling for time, Fitz?" Because Phil's like, "Yeah, we stopped like a minute ago." So I don't know if that was supposed to be a part of that, or was Deacon really just thinking like, "Oh man, no worries." Like I think he was kind of thinking that. But we interestingly ended up finding out that basically Simmons and Fitz are Deacon's grandparents, which I forgot what it was. I swear there was something earlier this season that made me think like he was related to someone on the team. I forgot. Was it Fitz and Simmons that made me think that? There was something that made me think he was related to someone on the team. It might have been them, because I don't want to try and give myself too much credit, but I feel like I said something about that at one point. I don't remember what made me think like that. Which is kind of an interesting development. Because I felt like, we never actually got to meet. I think what set it up was because I thought we never actually met his parents. And he met his parents when they were older, so maybe he wouldn't have recognized them when they were younger. To be fair, these are his grandparents, which would make a lot more sense. So, which kind of sad too, because that ultimately means that, like, they don't know now, but ultimately they know where their family ends up, So that's just kind of interesting. Which, in a way, it's actually kind of interesting, because it would actually explain how Deacon was able to kind of help build the framework. To a certain extent, I mean, because both his grandparents were geniuses. I'm sure that kind of trickled down the family genes. But also, because Fitz kind of had his own part to play in the framework's construction and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It just seems like it kind of it makes sense that he is, their grandson. So, I'm curious about that. I wonder how long will it be before they find out. I mean, to be fair, General S.h.i.e.L.D. knows that they're related, because they don't know. It's like, that can't be right. Obviously, they don't know about the whole him being from the future thing, which once again begs the question, what the hell is their whole deal then if they don't know about Deacon being from the future, or that the future thing is happening? Are they just I mean, to be fair, no one knows what they went through and what they know. So I'm curious when the time comes where they tell General S.h.i.e.L.D. and what she believed him. I'm trying to figure out what that whole storyline is about. What is the end goal for them? General S.h.i.e.L.D. and the team she's building, and Ruby. What is the whole purpose? Are they supposed to be the defenders of Earth from terrible stuff? But it seems like they're all, I don't know. I can't even begin to imagine what that's all about. But so far, a great 100th episode. I'm excited with a lot of the direction they're taking things. Like I said, especially the Coulson stuff. I'm curious to see how that all ends up playing out. Also, because it seems like the only person Yo-Yo's really told about all the stuff she knows from the future is Mac. Because I'm sure the last thing you want, I mean, because to be fair, because the others might get mad. I mean, maybe they'll know now that it's kind of out in the open. Because Yo-Yo hasn't told anybody what she knows about the future. Only person she knows who told is Mac. And even Mac, I don't think knows everything that she learned from her future self, So, but ultimately we'll see where that all takes us, whether Yo-Yo just keeps everyone in the dark and only tells Mac, or whether she tries to kind of navigate things on her own without really telling anyone. Ultimately we'll just kind of have to wait and see. So I'm very interested to see where this all takes us in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good